Welcome to Wallace and Gromit in the Curse of the Were-Rabbit, where Wallace is a genius inventor who loves cheese and runs a pest control company that specializes in getting rid of rabbits called Anti-Pesto. He runs that with his dog that for some reason has no mouth but can do lots of human things. Then one night when their whole town is asleep, a rabbit breaks into one of the gardens that's under the protection of Anti-Pesto, triggers one of their security garden gnomes, which as far as I can tell does not have a camera to detect this rabbit, so it probably has motion sensors. Their creepy wall of customers alerts them to which customer it is, and one of Wallace's funky inventions and systems starts waking them up, and there's no way that this kettle boiled water that fast, but whatever. The system wakes them up in their own individual ways and takes them down to the garage, dresses them up and gives them coffee that they somehow do not spill when they do a backflip, and get put into their truck, and off they go hunting rabbits. They slide into Mrs. Mulch's DMs, get into her garden and catch the rabbit before it goes off with her absolute unit of a pumpkin that she's wearing for a upcoming massive vegetable competition that the town has every year that is 4 days away. They go back home with all the townspeople cheering them on, applauding them for doing such a stellar job in protecting their precious vegetables. Next morning, Gromit feeds all the rabbits they have caught because they treat them in a very humane way.
And what a waste of clean plates, honestly. You can just cut all the carrots and dump them into a bucket, then use one plate to portion them out properly. Fucking dumb dog. Anyway.
Wallace gets out of bed and slides into the dining room through a hole in the floor that he cannot fit through, so a assistant's hammer slams him through it. Some more of his inventions start dressing him up at the table, and I know this is a claymation kids movie, but I still have many things to say about this, and I will say them, and you cannot stop me. First, how the f*** does Blood not have a concussion from this hammer hit? Second, how the fuck, once again, is his neck not broken in this clip? Third, you can't put your shoes on like this without pointing your toes. And the people who made this know this because when they dressed him earlier when he was going to catch that rabbit in the beginning of the movie, he pointed his feet. All this, however, can be excused because they're funky, floppy claymation characters in the kids movie. But what I cannot excuse is the most egregious offense of them all. My fourth point, the order of dressing. That goes shoes / house loafers, slippers, or whatever first, then pants. Who the fuck does that?
This is sacrilege.
Because what lunatic puts on shoes first, then pants? It's always pants and shoes. What's next? Milk first, then cereal, then bowl? You fucking backwards retards. Anyway, Gromit tries to feed him veggies because Wallace is becoming a fat cunt, but he really does not like vegetables and wants to eat cheese. So instead of using willpower, he wants to try and alter his brain to not like cheese or like have more of an appetite for vegetables by using his newest invention, the Mindfuck-O-Matic. Something Gromit is really apprehensive about, and thankfully before he's able to use it, he gets a call from Lady Tottington from Tottington Hall, telling him she's got a really big rabbit problem. Then she immediately gets a knock on the door from Victor, the toupee-wearing retard who wants to marry her for her money, and is here to take care of her bunny problem by eliminating them with force. Hold on, how come his dog has a mouth but Gromit does not? Is he mute or something? Doesn't matter. Shortly after Wallace and Gromit arrive and find out that her rabbit problem is indeed massive because she has a whole ass colony on her hands, so they break out the big guns, figuratively speaking, unlike Victor, and put the Bunny Vac 6000 to work, plug it into one of their holes, and start sucking away, saving one of these bunnies from a mouthful of lead and sucking all of them up into it, including Victor's fake ass hair that he goes looking for and gets sucked in himself. How come Victor's dog didn't get sucked up as well? Although he wasn't on screen, I'm pretty sure he was nearby because he rarely ever leaves Victor's side, but whatever. All the bunnies get sucked up into the BV 6000 and Victor gets stuck in the nozzle. Tate is very impressed with it and very happy with the fact that Wallace deals with the bunnies in a humane way. Victor, however, is not and gets really pissed at him and mistakes a rabbit with the N-word pass as his hair and walks away. Then while Wallace and Gromit leave, Walt gets an idea on how to solve this problem that is him running out of space in his basement to store the bunnies. His idea is to connect the bun vac to the mind manipulation O-Matic, use moon power from lunar solar panels, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's not a thing because the light reflected off the moon from the sun is not strong enough to do. You know what, whatever. He's gonna connect these two things together and use his hatred for veggies and his brain power to transfer some of that hatred into the rabbits so they stop going for vegetables and he can release them back into the open without them disturbing the townspeople, which probably will lead to unknown and catastrophic effects on the ecosystem because humans meddling with nature rarely ever leads to good outcomes. But
also, the suck and blow switch
for the Bunvac 6000 keeps switching sides from wide shot to close shot from top to bottom, which is a very big mistake because the whole plot of this movie hinges on the fact that once they turn it on, he accidentally switches the switch from suck to blow with his foot, leading to one of the bunnies being blown through the tube into the Mindfuck-O-Matic and sticking to his head. He starts going crazy and hopping around, so Gromit turns off the machine and smashes the thing on the dumbass's head off, hands Wallace a carrot to test out on the rabbit and finds out that it worked. The thing hates it, so they call the bunny Hutch, put it in a cage, leaving it to have Vietnam flashbacks while they go off to bed. Wallace is feeling pretty proud of himself. Gromit tucks in his massive cucumber or marrow he's growing for the competition. The whole town is doing the same with their prized vegetables, turning on all their custom anti-pesto traps. Priest dude is watering his plants with holy water to give him 10 plus extra holy damage. Locks him up, then goes into the church to do some other shit. Hears some noises and notices that he's not alone. Then a big thing comes at him. He shits his pants and passes out while it eats all the vegetables behind him and jumps out the window to terrorize the rest of the town folk and go on a vegetable annihilation spree. In the morning, Gromit wakes up to all their alarms sounding, but none of them woke them up because the kettle got knocked over somehow. What a shitty, horrible, stupid, retarded design to have a kettle as a point of failure in a supercritical alarm system when all your other traps and gnome detection systems in people's gardens are what seems to be somewhat sophisticated and normal. Whatever happened to wiring shit up normally? Anyway, lots of cheese from the fridge has also been ravaged. Wallace wakes up all cheery but then finds out the grim news. Then they go to a meeting with the townspeople at the church who are raging at him because his vegetable protection services have failed them. The priest comes in telling them that it was a massive were-rabbit that did all this. Then enters Victor who says that all this were-rabbit shit is nonsense. It's just a big rabbit and he'll kill it for them, no problem. But then Lady Toltington intervenes because she's a pacifist. a pacifist. She doesn't like killing little cutie patootie animals, okay? And wants to give Wallace another chance. So Victor's like, how is this nitwit going to catch such a big animal? Well, with a big dick. And so they get a shot at redemption and drive around that night with Gromit puppeteering a big bunny prostitute costume that they stuck on top of the van to attract the were-rabbit. Wallace pops out and gives him pointers on how to be more sexy. Like, come on Gromit, harness your inner sluttiness. Give it more passion, more passion, more passion. More energy, more energy. Lane drives into a narrow tunnel, slamming the puppet into the wall, and as a result, sucking Gromit up into the roof of the van and fucking gluing him in there. I'm honestly surprised he was even able to keep the car straight and not hit anything with how long he was not looking at the road. Anyway, he goes to get the puppet while Gromit waits for him in the car. Suspicious activity starts happening and he honks for him to come back. Then a large bitten through carrot sign drops on the hood of the car. He honks some more before deciding to go off and chase down this big figure that did this. Having the carrot sign completely disappear off the hood between shots, he follows the big web, activates the lasso gadget from the car that pops out of the hood, and where the flying fuckity buckety is the fucking engine of this car? Is that it? No way, that's it. Doesn't matter. He lassos onto it with auto-aiming robot hand. It keeps dragging him along like he's a whale fisherman, digs a hole through the ground. Gromit gets dragged on the ground as well, while the rabbit keeps eating food from the surface, destroying random people's hopes and dreams for winning the competition. Until the rope finally snaps and the big rabbit gets away, Gromit surfaces at the end of the tunnel in the morning at his house. He sees big rabbit tracks that lead into it, finds Wallace dealing with a bunch of phone calls from angry customers. He sees Gromit and starts yelling at him for being absent all this time and not helping, but Gromit just ignores this utter buffoon and keeps following the rabbit tracks that lead into the basement. Wallace follows him and sees a bunch of traumatized rabbitos in the basement, looking at Hutch's cage that is destroyed open. Then find Hutch himself a bit grown, and Wallace figures out that the machine made it grow because moon power and movie science or whatever, and when the moon's out, Hutch grows even bigger and terrorizes the town and its vegetables. However, even though they created this monster, Wallace sees this as an absolute win because they also have it in their possession. So he goes off to tell Tate this great news, while Gromit stays back to build an even bigger cage to contain Hutch and his transformation he has at night. But when he's all done and he leaves the basement, he sees that the tracks continue past the basement door, although they clearly curved into the basement in previous shots, and the rest of the tracks clearly do not exist, but whatever. Claymation kids movie, I'll let it pass. He continues following them upstairs and finds that they start turning into human tracks and end in Wallace's room that is full of half-eaten vegetables. He realizes that Wallace is the were-rabbit, so he hops into the van and rushes off to go to Tate, where Wallace went to tell her the good news. He must have taken a cab there, hence the van is not with him. And he's also acting very rabbit-like, which is something she does not notice, and takes him up to her secret rooftop garden, which I don't think is that secret. She does have a secret elevator up to it, so maybe. Anyway, Gromit gets there and he sees them go up to the roof, so he goes up as well, and sees him salivating over the veggies she's going around and showing him, cracks open a window and tries to stop him from eating anything, but fails, and too bad he doesn't have the mouth to, I don't know, bark, maybe. Fine, I'll let the whole mouth thing go. He eventually is able to set off the sprinkler system before Wallace tries to take a bite out of her prized mega carrot. He gets to him and tries to rush him home while the sun is setting and before the moon transforms him into a big ass rabbit, but then he finds a road closure and a chopped down tree through a alternate route he took through the woods that got taken down by Victor, who saw Wallace and Tate and got jealous, so he did this to stop them from coming home. Wallace goes to try and move the massive tree out the way, but then Victor shows up to ask him a question while his dog keeps Gromit in the van. Wallace tries to leave, but he rubber bands back because the axe got caught in his whatever this shit's called, lederhosen, while he was trying to leave. Then Victor's like, come on, square up, fool. Gromit realizes it's nighttime now, the moon is out, and Wallace will start transforming any second now, so he locks the van doors. Victor tries to punch Wallace, but it does zero effect, and Wallace throws him over onto the car because he's starting to get super strong, starts to transform, his hands get fuzzy, he gets a tail, starts growing, and ripping his clothes off. Victor's dog tries to get in the van like... but Gromit doesn't let him in, and after Wallace is fully transformed, he lifts the log out the way and throws it behind the van, starts running away, so Gromit follows him. Then Victor, who realizes that this were-rabbit business is true, goes over to the vicar and asks him how to kill this beast, and he tells him that according to old legend, he has to shoot it with 24 karat, get it, because vegetables, 24 karat gold bullet, and that's how he can kill it. He gives him 3 of those and sends him off on his way. This is obviously completely arbitrary bullshit, as I'm sure normal bullets will do, but whatever. Next morning, Wallace comes down for breakfast with bunny ears because he's starting to fully transform into a bunny, even off-season now, and he has no recollection of last night, as always. Apparently someone snapped a photo of him in his persona and it made it on the newspaper. Gromit tries to convince him that he is the were-rabbit by showing him his ears in the newspaper, but Wallace is not convinced. He's like, oh, don't be silly. So they go down into the basement and take a look at Hutch, who I'm pretty sure received clothes from Gromit beforehand because he comes out wearing Wallace's clothes, acting very Wallace-like and loving cheese. The real Wallace finally is convinced that he is a were-rabbit and tries to rebuild the mindfuck-o-matic before nightfall, but he can't do it because his brain is too rabbity and retarded now. But then Hutch starts rebuilding it because he's basically got Wallace's brain in him. Then they get a knock on the door from Tate. See, she was prepping and setting up festivities for the veggie show / competition, thinking that the big rabbit problem has been dealt with and he's been caught by Wallace, but the townspeople come over and tell her that it is clearly not the case because their shit was ravaged in the night and they want to call off the competition. Then Victor shows up like, what ho? Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Tate gives him permission to hunt and kill the were-rabbit. By the way, since the were-rabbit only comes out at night, why the fuck don't they just hold the competition in the morning? Fucking retarded Brits. Anyway, she goes over to Wallace and tells him that she's really disappointed in him for lying to her about catching the were-rabbit and confesses that she started getting feelings for him, but since it now became nighttime while she was talking to him, he starts transforming in the middle of talking to her, tries to hide all these transformations and tells her that it's really really not a good time and sends her off in tears. He starts transforming really fast now. Gromit tries to drag him out the house using the carpet, but it's too late. Wallace is fully rabbitized now, so he puts on the slut rabbit costume to grab its attention and lure him out of there, away from Victor, who shows up to try and kill him. That works, and he uses a bouncy ball to hop over all defenses and get Wallace away from Victor, who takes a shot at him and somehow misses and headshots the Slutty Bunny costume instead. I don't know how the fuck that works, with Wallace being behind the Slutty Bunny costume, but whatever. Victor sees that and also notices that Wallace seems to be heading towards the vegetable competition, with the townspeople going on with celebrations and the competition itself, because they heard that shot and fucking just assumed that he hit it and he has incredible accuracy and killed the bunny. So Victor locks up Gromit in their garden in one of their very own anti-pesto cages and goes off to the carnival or show competition, whatever, somehow making it there before Wallace, which is absolute bullshit. You've seen how fast that fucking bunny runs. Him beating him in there is utterly impossible.
But maybe Wallace got distracted by something along the way, whatever.
Everybody thinks he killed the fucking rabbit and heralded him as a hero, but he tells Constable Dickhead that the bunny isn't exactly dead, and Officer Moron leaks that to the public, who start panicking. So Victor shoots one golden bullet into the air, wasting it like a moron to get their attention and calm them down, telling them that the beast is on its way here, but no worry, he's gonna use their vegetables as bait and kill it once it arrives. Mrs. Mulch ain't having none of that though, and starts to make a run for it with her voluptuous pumpkin, and let me tell you, old bitch got legs. But then Wallace shows up burrowing his way over to her, so she makes a swift U-turn and Victor takes aim at him. While this was all happening, Gromit remembered that Hutch went to bed in Wallace's room, so he threw this fucking plant shovel thingy at one of their garden gnomes to trigger the pest alarm mechanism from the beginning of the movie. Hutch gets into the van and accidentally reverses out of the house and runs into Gromit's cage, freeing him. Really? They have the same exact procedure for when their own garden is being attacked by rabbits? Seems like a bit of a waste when all they have to do is fucking go downstairs. Whatever though. He gets his massive cucumber, ties a rope to it, and intercepts Wallace's path at the competition while surfing his cucumber that is getting dragged by Hutch driving the van. Some bitch takes Victor's gun and tries to shoot, then misses, meaning that now he's out of gold bullets, so he improvises, gets a musket or elephant gun from a nearby antique stand, and intends to use the golden carrot, which is the trophy for the winner of the competition, as a bullet. Lady Tottington tries to stop him from ruining her trophy. He tussles with her over it for a bit, and that is something that Wallace, who has surfaced, hears and sees, so he goes over to protect her and goes all King Kong on everybody, while Hutch crashes into a cheese tent, ruining Gromit's wonderful bone marrow or veggie marrow. What the fuck even is a marrow? I feel like that's such a made-up vegetable. Anyway, Wallace escapes the angry mob and throws Victor into a cotton candy machine, takes Tate up to her rooftop garden, and she notices that the were-rabbit is Wallace. Victor comes up in the elevator, and Freudian slips that he also knows that Wallace is the were-rabbit and is trying to kill him, and also tells her that he's only marrying her for her money, so she sprays some shit in his face and tells Wallace to run away. Victor then pins her hair into some produce and goes after Wallace, but Gromit started employing a bunch of cartoon movie bullshit, got into a little plain kids right thing, and was able to launch himself up there using a spiral thing. Victor's dog followed him in the same way up there and accidentally punted Victor in the ass, throwing him off of his aim. The two of them have a little dog fight with Victor's dog attacking Gromit with a stone shovel that I'm pretty sure you can't just take out of the wall like that because it is part of the wall, but whatever, I'm not a stonemason, I could be wrong. A funny gag happens and Gromit is able to get rid of the other dog. Victor takes a shot at a stupidly stationary rabbit Wallace,
So Gromit uses a shovel to spin off a flagpole
and outruns a speeding carrot bullet,
spins around another flagpole, the one that Wallace is on, to take the hit for him
with his toy plane, but then
a poorly timed high five causes him to start tumbling towards the ground.
So Wallace returns the favor and jumps to catch him, and they both crash land into the cheese tent. Wallace cushioning Gromit's landing, but not faring off so well himself. Tate then frees herself and beats Victor with her mega carrot. He drops into the tent, so Gromit dresses his delirious ass up in the slutty bunny costume that he had in the back of the van and sends him off to be chased away by the angry townspeople and his dog biting him in his bunny tail and him somehow feeling it because his nervous system is now attached to this fucking costume somehow. Whatever, kids movie, who cares? Wallace dies and transforms back into a human. Gromit and Tate cry for a bit, but then Gromit sees Hutch go, "Cheese, Gromit!" And wait a minute. If Wallace transforms into a big ass rabbit in the night, why doesn't Hutch transform into a full human, not just partial human in the night?
Actually, maybe this is Hutch's final form and he only reached it first because he's a smaller creature and...
You know what, who cares? Gromit gets an idea on how to bring Wallace back to life, and if you're thinking he's gonna use CPR, you'll be wrong. Instead he uses cheese, Gromit, waves it in front of his face and it brings him back to life, like waking up someone with smelling salts. He's alive with the curse somehow broken now, fucking yay. Everybody's happy, then Tate turns her estate into a bunny sanctuary. This movie gets 58 crates of blue cheese out of 6 2-kilo blocks of cheddar cheese.